This story opens in an enclosed room that looks like an emergency operating room. A woman is seen lying there, in a terrible condition. Her body looks extremely weak, her face is pale, and painful groans can be heard coming from her mouth continuously. Around her are various medical tools like surgical scissors, operating knives, and other equipment neatly arranged, like in a medical procedure room. Not long after, a mysterious figure appears, seemingly performing a medical procedure on the woman. However, the atmosphere from the beginning already gives off a bad feeling. At almost the same time, the screen also shows a series of news reports from various international media. The news talks about a number of foreign tourists mysteriously disappearing in Brazil. The increasing number of victims has led authorities and the media to issue strong warnings to the public. Tourists are urged to be more careful and stay alert when visiting the country. The story then moves to Brazil, showing a group of young American travelers on their vacation trip. The group consists of Alex, his younger sister Bee, and Bee's friend Amy. Along with them are two other men named Finn and Liam, as well as a quiet woman named Prue, who is more often seen reading a book rather than chatting with the others. They are riding an old bus that looks far from comfortable. From the start, Alex has already shown his dislike. He repeatedly criticizes the bus driver's driving, which he thinks is too reckless and careless. Meanwhile, Bea seems much more relaxed. She is busy taking pictures of the surroundings and tries to calm her brother down so he won't be too tense and can enjoy the trip. While looking at the inside of the bus, Bea finds some writing scribbled with a marker on the back of a seat. It says, "Welcome to Brazil." On the other hand, Alex becomes even more uneasy as the bus keeps speeding. The local passengers seem unfazed, but the tension rises when the driver suddenly speeds up just because he feels annoyed by a motorcyclist in front of him. The situation gets worse when the driver recklessly overtakes without realizing there is a pedestrian on the road. The bus suddenly swerves hard and almost plunges into a ravine. Seeing how dangerous things are getting, Alex immediately makes a quick decision. He orders all the passengers to get out through the windows as fast as possible. That decision ends up saving them all. Not long after the passengers manage to get out, the bus actually flips over down below. After things start to calm down and it's confirmed that no one is seriously injured, they go back toward the wrecked bus to grab the belongings left behind. Amid the chaos, Finn starts talking to Alex while throwing in a compliment about Bee's beauty. Hearing that, Alex immediately makes it clear that Bee is his younger sister. From that conversation, Finn and Liam begin to feel more familiar with their group. Alex then tries to approach Prue to start a conversation. It turns out Prue understands a bit of their language. She explains that the next bus won't pass for about 10 more hours. Even the bus heading to a big city will only arrive in around 18 hours. Hearing that, Finn quickly realizes that he and Liam got on the wrong route. With not many options, they eventually decide to stick with Alex's group. On the other hand, Alex tries to contact someone using his phone, but there's no signal at all. The place is clearly in a very remote area. To pass the time, Bee takes pictures of a little kid around the area. Unexpectedly, that action makes the child's father angry. The local man immediately reacts harshly and scolds Bee in a raised voice. The situation becomes tense for a moment. After he calms down, the man explains that the area is currently dealing with child kidnapping issues. The perpetrators are suspected to be from abroad, which makes the locals more suspicious of foreign visitors. That explanation makes the group start to understand why the people around seem so wary of them. Not long after, two local women approach them. They tell the group that there's a beach not too far from where they are. Hearing that, Finn suggests they go there while waiting for the next bus, since the atmosphere around the place feels unfriendly. Because the waiting time is still very long, everyone eventually agrees with the idea. They walk along the path that was pointed out earlier. A few times, they feel lost as they have to pass through an area with very dense trees. But after walking for quite a while, the view of the beach finally appears in front of them. Turns out the beach isn't completely empty. Some other tourists are already there. The group quickly changes clothes and starts enjoying the water. After having fun in the water, Alex and Prue walk to a small stall not far from the beach to order drinks. Since Prue understands the local language quite well, she easily chats with the stall owner named Camila. Not long after, Finn and Liam join them. Both of them look very enthusiastic and start praising Brazil as one of the best travel destinations they've ever visited. They also introduce themselves and get to know Camila. Soon after, another tourist couple approaches them. The couple is Miguel and Lucy. They are on vacation and traveling around by motorcycle. Lucy says they have been staying at that beach for 3 days. With a relaxed expression, she talks about how friendly the locals are and how the food there is very delicious and quite cheap. That's what makes her want to stay there longer. Lucy's story slowly affects the group's mood. Some of them start to feel tempted not to rush leaving the beach. Alex reminds them again that they should be waiting for the bus that might arrive soon. But B responds casually. She tells Alex to stop being too tense and try to enjoy the situation. According to B, the place is comfortable enough to stay overnight, and they can look for another ride the next day. In the end, B's suggestion is accepted by everyone. Meanwhile, at another location, the bus passengers who were in the accident have been moved and are being checked by the medical team. Not long after that, Camila is seen calling the doctor handling the victims. She tells him that there is still a group of foreign tourists who haven't left the beach area. On the other side, Alex and his friends spend time playing ball with some locals, but Prue, who looks like she's shivering, chooses to sit alone, a bit bead from the crowd. Not long after, a local man approaches her. He starts the conversation with a friendly smile and says he's learning English and wants to try speaking directly with a foreigner. Prue responds casually. The man then introduces himself as Kiko. Their conversation continues into more personal topics. Kiko asks about Prue's family. Prue honestly says that she lives alone without a partner or relatives. She only has one child. Hearing that, Kiko says his house is always crowded because it's filled with many family members. A few moments later, Alex and the others come over. Kiko then introduces himself to the whole group in a friendly manner. When night falls, the atmosphere at the small stall changes drastically. The simple place now feels like a small bar, with loud music playing and drinks constantly being served. People dance, laugh, and cheer, enjoying the night. Kiko invites Bea to dance in the middle of the crowd. Meanwhile, Liam, who looks awkward, is forced to dance with Camila and gets carried away in the party atmosphere. Finn, who has been watching a dark-skinned woman, finally gathers the courage to approach her, but instead he is taken to a quiet place, and the woman secretly takes Finn's wallet and just leaves. Somewhere else, Alex and Prue keep dancing until both of them start to feel tired. With his head feeling heavy, Alex briefly sees a stranger standing in the distance, as if watching them. Not long after that, his vision starts to blur and his consciousness slowly fades. When morning comes, they all wake up on the edge of the beach, in a messy condition. Alex immediately approaches B and quickly realizes something bad has happened. All their belongings are gone. No phones, no money, even their passports have disappeared without a trace. Even though the situation feels difficult, Alex tries to stay calm and tells everyone to leave the place immediately and look for help. The story then shifts to the middle of a forest. Miguel and Lucy are seen being dragged by a group of men who look brutal. The two of them are like prisoners. While unconscious, their hands are tied to a long wooden pole. When the group of men stops near a river, Miguel and Lucy start to regain consciousness. They try to free themselves from the bindings. Miguel manages to free Lucy's hands. But what happens next is shocking. Instead of helping further, Lucy runs away on her own, leaving Miguel behind, who is then killed by the group. That decision ends tragically. Lucy runs as fast as she can through the forest, and without realizing it, she falls into a deep ravine. The story returns to Alex and his friends. They finally regroup and try to walk toward the nearest settlement. Confused and not knowing where to go, they try asking some locals. But the answers they get are inconsistent. Some even choose to ignore them completely. With no clear direction, they end up just following their instincts. Along the way, Alex sees Miguel's motorcycle parked in front of a house. He tries to ask the owner about Miguel's whereabouts, but the person only stares without giving any answer. Not far from there, Liam sees Alex's hat being worn by a little kid. His emotions are immediately triggered, and he chases the kids into the narrow paths between the houses. The kids start throwing stones at him. Already annoyed, Liam throws stones back until one of the kids falls and starts crying loudly. The child's screams quickly attract the attention of the locals. In a short time, a crowd gathers, and the situation turns chaotic. The villagers begin attacking Liam and his friends. In the middle of the chaos, Kiko suddenly appears and tries to calm the crowd. He then takes Alex and the group away from the crowd. Prue suggests that they report the incident to the police, but Kiko explains that in that area, there are barely any authorities that can truly be relied on. Hearing that, Alex gets even more upset and vents his anger at Liam because his reckless actions have made things worse for them. Not long after the situation settles, Kiko shows up again, carrying a sharp weapon. His face looks serious. He immediately warns that they are all in danger. According to him, the villagers will most likely hunt them after what just happened. Kiko then offers what he thinks is the safest option, which is to follow him to his family's house, deep in the forest. The place is quite remote and can be used to hide for a while. Kiko also explains that the intercity bus will only pass in 2 days. With no other choice, Alex and the others finally agree to follow the plan. They begin walking into the dense forest, an area that looks like it's rarely passed by anyone. The journey turns out to be difficult. After walking for quite a while, their bodies start to feel tired. The group finally stops for a short rest. They don't realize that the real danger is still not far from them. After regaining a bit of energy, they continue the journey. They keep walking through the forest that seems endless. Along the way, Finn looks very irritated. He keeps venting his frustration and constantly blames Liam. According to him, all the chaos that happened is because of Liam's earlier reckless actions. Not long after, they are faced with a fairly steep uphill path. Everyone is forced to use the rest of their energy to climb. Complaints start to be heard here and there, but the exhaustion slowly pays off when they finally reach the top and see a river with very clear water flowing calmly. Without thinking twice, they go down to the river to clean themselves. The cold water makes their bodies feel refreshed. After that, Kiko invites them to see some hidden spots that are rarely known by outsiders. Kiko takes them to a small gap behind a waterfall. Behind it, there turns out to be a natural cave with a very beautiful view. The light coming in from outside reflects on the rock walls and creates a stunning atmosphere. But in the middle of that moment, Kiko's attitude toward B starts to look different. He looks at her in an unusual way. Kiko then admits that B is the first tourist who has made him feel truly connected. His feelings for her are quite clear. Unfortunately, the warm atmosphere doesn't last long. Kiko's face suddenly turns tense. Without much explanation, he urges them to immediately return to the village. The sudden request confuses everyone. With a slightly trembling voice, Kiko says that he needs to talk to the villagers first, so the group won't be attacked. Hearing that, Finn immediately refuses. He says they've already walked for more than 10 hours and there's no way they can go back now. Finn insists that they should just stay overnight at Kiko's family house. After a short argument, Kiko finally agrees, even though his face shows he's not happy about the decision. When they return to the cliff area, Kiko looks increasingly uneasy. Meanwhile, the others go back to playing in the river. They even invite Kiko to join them. At first, Kiko hesitates, but eventually he jumps into the water. But the mood suddenly changes. The clear river water suddenly turns reddish. It turns out Kiko's head hits a hard rock when he jumps. He immediately loses consciousness. Everyone panics. They quickly pull Kiko out of the water and try to help him. Without wasting time, they decide to take him to his family's house, which he said isn't too far from there. There, they immediately check the wound on Kiko's head and realize his condition is quite serious. With no other choice, they start searching for medical supplies throughout the house. Prue enters one of the rooms and finds various medicines. She immediately gathers some that she thinks are important. Meanwhile, Finn finds a stapler and decides to use it as an emergency way to close Kiko's wound. With limited ability, Finn tries to close the wound. The result is quite surprising. The bleeding is successfully stopped. The intense pain makes Kiko regain consciousness. He then walks unsteadily to a room to rest. In another room, Alex finds a wardrobe filled with clean clothes. They take some to wear. Amy finds a food storage area in another part of the house. There, she also sees a dog locked behind the house and gives it some food. Alex also finds a supply of diesel and uses it to turn on the generator. Not long after, the electricity in the house comes back on. When the lights start illuminating the whole house, Finn finds a bottle of old wine that looks like it's been stored for a long time. Meanwhile, Alex opens a drawer and is shocked to see dozens of passports neatly arranged inside. Seeing that, he starts to feel suspicious. But he only takes a small knife, just in case. And that night, they finally gather to eat. B still looks uneasy and says she wants to leave the place as soon as possible. Finn tries to calm things down by saying they'll only stay for one night while waiting for Kiko to recover. They also assume that Kiko's uncle will likely return soon since the house doesn't look completely abandoned. When the others start falling asleep, Alex chooses to stay awake. He sits while watching the CCTV screens installed in the house. From outside, strange sounds can be heard coming from the forest, making the atmosphere even more tense. Not long after, the sound of helicopter blades is heard from a distance. A helicopter lands right in front of the house and immediately wakes everyone up. They think it's Kiko's uncle arriving. Kiko, still weak, gets up and approaches the group of people coming down from the helicopter. He is seen having a serious conversation with a man who turns out to be the doctor who appeared at the beginning of the story. The doctor arrives with several other people. They bring various medical equipment along with several large bags. Without much talk, they begin preparing one of the rooms inside the house. Since the conversation is in the local language, Alex and his friends don't understand what's being said. They can only exchange confused looks. In the middle of that confusion, a woman from the doctor's group quietly approaches Alex. In a low voice, she whispers that something very terrible is about to happen. On the other side, the argument between Kiko and the doctor's group becomes more heated. After arguing for a while, Kiko finally gives in. Without saying anything else, he turns around and leaves the house. Things change very quickly. Before Alex and the others can understand what's happening, several people suddenly attack them. One by one, they are beaten until they lose consciousness. When consciousness returns, the situation is already different. Amy and Finn wake up, tied up in a room that looks like an operating room. Meanwhile, Alex, Bia, Prue, and Liam are locked in a dog cage in another part of the house. Amy becomes the first victim. The doctor sedates her and starts performing surgery. At that moment, he introduces himself as Zamora. He explains that he is a doctor who holds a deep hatred toward wealthy people from abroad. For Zamora, that hatred isn't just a passing emotion. He believes that foreign visitors have been enjoying Brazil's wealth while the local people struggle. He feels that what he's doing is a form of justice in his own way. The victims' bodies are used as sources of organs, which are then sent to hospitals in Rio to help the poor. But the method Zamora uses is extremely cruel. Without hesitation, he takes almost all of Amy's vital organs, even her eyes. Not long after, Amy dies on the operating table. After finishing, Zamora turns his attention to Finn, who is still tied up. But before continuing, he orders his men to bring the other captives out of the cage. When a guard tries to pull Prue out, the situation immediately turns chaotic. Prue fights back hard. Kiko, who is still around the house, quickly saves Alex and Prue. He immediately tells them to run as fast as possible. A new problem appears when they try to free Liam. The key Kiko is carrying suddenly breaks inside the lock. In that urgent situation, Alex decides that Bea and Prue have to escape immediately toward the waterfall, the place they previously agreed on as a safe point. Meanwhile, Liam tries to get out by breaking part of the cage and eventually manages to escape. Everyone starts moving away from the house, but Alex and Liam decide to go back. They can't leave Finn and Amy behind, just like that. They sneak in through the back of the house to find Finn. Liam enters through the back door and points a gun at a woman inside the house. Finn, who is still half-conscious from the sedative, is finally rescued. The chaos is eventually noticed by Zamora. He immediately orders his men to chase the escaped captives. One of the guards sees Alex's movement through the surveillance screen and quickly heads to the location. Gunshots start being heard from different directions. In the middle of the chaos, Alex, Liam, Kiko, and Finn finally manage to get out of the house. Meanwhile, on another path, Prue and Bea run toward the waterfall without stopping. One of Zamora's men sees them and immediately gives chase. Bea quickly hides under a tree, filled with ants. When the guard gets close, he loses focus because of the ants bothering him. At the same time, Alex and the others hide under the house. When a guard walks right above them, Kiko attacks from below using a hook tool and pulls his leg, causing the man to fall while screaming in pain. They immediately use that moment to escape. But the escape comes at a heavy cost. A gunshot is heard and Finn suddenly collapses. The bullet hits his head and he dies instantly. With broken hearts, they are forced to leave Finn's body behind. Alex and Kiko manage to escape, but Liam chooses to stay. Anger over his friend's death makes Liam face the enemy alone. He manages to take down the guard, but a return shot hits him. Liam is killed on the spot. When morning starts to come, Bea is seen at the edge of a river. She survives and waits cautiously. When she hears approaching footsteps, she prepares to attack using a rock. But she immediately stops when she sees that the person coming is Alex. They finally breathe in relief after reuniting. Kiko quickly warns that the pursuers are likely still around them. He tells them to dive into a cave located underwater. Inside the dark passage, Alex reunites with Prue, who has apparently been hiding there since the previous night. They then swim toward the beautiful cave they had previously visited with Kiko. But as soon as they get there, Alex suddenly attacks Kiko. He accuses him of setting them up from the beginning. In a desperate situation, Kiko finally admits everything. He really did bring them to the house on purpose, so their organs could be taken. He begs not to be killed. But before anything happens, a gunshot is suddenly heard. A bullet goes through Kiko's neck, and he dies instantly. Alex and the others dive again to hide. The many water paths inside the cave make it hard for them to find the right direction. Alex then realizes someone is still following them from behind. They swim faster until they're almost out of breath and are forced to look for an air pocket to survive. Bia, who is separated on her own, ends up being chased again by the stranger and gets caught. But she fights back hard. She manages to grab the man's weapon and takes him down using an arrow until he dies. Not long after, Alex arrives and takes Bea back toward land. When they regroup, Alex tries to treat their wounds, but suddenly, he sees a shadow moving inside the cave. He immediately tells everyone to turn off their flashlights. It turns out Zamora and his men are already inside the cave. Without his enemies realizing, Alex manages to lure Zamora closer into a favorable position. At the right moment, Alex attacks and slams Zamora's head with a rock until the man collapses. His friends stop Alex before he goes further and leave Zamora lying there badly injured. But the situation still isn't safe. Zamora's men show up, pointing rifles at them. With barely any breath left, Zamora still manages to order his men to shoot. Bea tries to talk to Zamora's men, trying to appeal to their humanity. Slowly, the weapons are lowered. Seeing that, Zamora becomes furious and insults his men as cowards. Those harsh words trigger their anger. In the end, Zamora's men lose control and turn their anger toward Zamora himself. In the middle of the chaos, they make an unexpected decision. Zamora's men choose to stop the chase and let Alex and the others go. Not long after, Alex, Bea, and Prue finally make it out of the forest. Their bodies are covered in wounds and deep trauma. Just as they start to hope they might survive, several locals suddenly appear. They briefly think the danger is coming back, but it turns out to be different. The locals don't intend to hurt them. Instead, they help take Alex, Bea, and Prue to a safe place, treat their wounds, and give them protection. One of the locals even sincerely gives them some money so they can leave Brazil and return to America safely. That terrifying experience makes them not want to take any more risks with overland travel.